Okay, in this next video, what we're going to look at is how to get the play button sorted out. So what we want to do is actually make a play button. Now, you either make it, you get it off the internet. So I've got one right here, which I did get off the internet, and it's PNG. So all you got to do, once you've got that image, is import it in as a sprite. So you upload sprite, and you pick the file. So I'm just going to go to my folder where I've got all my my game and all the images in an images folder, right? Keep everything nice and organized. And there's the play button. Okay, so when I choose that, that comes up here, and you can see, okay, it's a bit big. Maybe at the start, I don't want it to be that big, possibly. So there'll be a few things that we need to do to set this up. So what we could do is set the size to be smaller. So under looks, you've got here somewhere, if I find it, set size. Let's see, where is it? Set size. Okay, so if I set it to be 50 and then double click on it, you can see it's now smaller, right? So we can do things like that. Now what we will do is start it off when we say when flag is clicked. So this is like initiating this to be like this at the beginning, okay? And we'll also want to go to the show and show it so we can see it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a button that you can actually roll over. So whenever you bring the mouse pointer over it, it gets bigger. And then when the mouse pointer's over it and you click on it, then it will change, okay? It'll start the game. And then disappear as well. So we go to costume for this to make this button change a little bit. Now you can do this two ways. You could do it where actually the button gets bigger, it just gets bigger, or you make another button. So to make another button, you could just duplicate it and then resize it to make it bigger, or you just change the size, literally set size difference. Okay. Now the other thing we'll want to do here is just go to a position. So what I'm going to do is go to 0 and 0 so that my button will always go to that point, 0, 0. Right, so I'll add a comment and just say initiates the play button to appear at the beginning of the game in the center, like that. So a nice wee comment just to explain pretty much what this button does, or what this algorithm does. I'm just going to leave that there. So you usually have this for every sprite that you've got here. Right, the next bit of code, what I want to do is, again, when flag is clicked, and I'm going to get a forever this time. So I'm going to grab a forever, and what I'm going to do is get it to stay as it is for the minute. Switch the set size to 50. So I'm going to get it to do that, and then I'm going to get it to change to something else. So I'm going to say if, and what I want it to do is if the mouse button's been pressed. So this is a difficult one, because what you have to do is you have to say if the mouse button's been pressed, but not just the mouse button's been pressed, if the mouse button's been pressed and I'm actually over the button, which would be touching the button, right? So this is the button. So what I'll do, I'll go to sensing and have a look at under sense. Right, here we got the mouse pointer, if touching the mouse pointer, so that will do me nicely. And then I can go down here and have I got it? Yeah, mouse down, right? So if the mouse down is in, the mouse button is down, and I'm touching this. So you can see I'm saying an and here. So this is where we need an operator. And this operator would be, of course, the and operator, because I don't want to use the or operator. The or would be this or that. So if I'm pressing the mouse down or I'm touching the mouse pointer, as in the button is touching the mouse pointer, then it would play the game. No, I want it to be an and, right? So I want to be clicking on the mouse and the mouse is actually over the button. Makes sense, right? So this operator, these are logical operators that are used in programming all the time, and or not. So you'll see this whenever you do text-based programming. in the future. So here we go, put it into that if statement, and then I'm going to put it into forever because I want this forever. I want it to happen forever, to be asking this question forever. Right, so I'm going to do two things. The one thing I'm going to do is broadcast a message. Right, so I'm going to broadcast a message. Now I've got this, I think, already here. I already made one. So here you can see whenever you do a broadcast, you pick that one. You can pick the arrow key and say new message. And when you do that, it comes up and you can give it a name. So I give one already a name called play. And what's going to happen is that the game, or all my sprites, will appear on the screen and things will load up when this happens, right? So this is how this button essentially works. And then under looks, I want to hide that button because I don't want it to be there anymore. So I want to broadcast that play, hide the button. Right, now that works fine, but at the minute the button doesn't animate in any way. So I wanted actually, when I roll over this mouse button, it to get a bigger size or change. So in order to do that, I'm going to change this code a little bit. So I'm going to change the selection if statement and do a slightly bigger one. And this is going to be like an if I do something, then that's fine. And then a different if. So what I'm going to do is grab this, stick it into here, grab that bit of code, stick it into the top bit. And then this other if, I'm going to stick it in the bottom. So I'm going to ask two questions. If the mouse down and I'm touching the mouse pointer, then it's going to broadcast play and then hide. Or if I'm just touching the mouse pointer, so I can just duplicate that one, right click, duplicate, and put it in there. And what am I going to do? Well, drop that in, and all I'm going to do is set the size, change the size to be a different size. Now, of course, I need to set size to be, now I could say 100 there, and I would actually have to set it back. So this will set it back to the original size if I'm not touching the mouse. So this is 50% as it is now. So if I just try this, and you can see how big it gets, right? So that works fine. But I might just change that to something like 60. So it's just a little bit of a difference, right? So that looks good. All right, you could do it a little bit bigger if you want, but you can see the main thing is that that's going to work like that. Now, the next thing you need to do to make this button actually work is you've got to have something receiving this broadcast. So on my ship, for example, if I go into the code of my ship, at the minute I've got this bit taken off here. So this would have been maybe here on yours. Now what I'm going to do is in the events, I've got when I receive, and you can see when I receive play. So that's the main aspect, that you're going to use this block at the start of the game for most of your sprites. So if I do this now, you can see it comes in and that works. And I've already done it with the alien ship. So if I click on the alien ship, you can see it's got that block there. When I receive the play, and it waits actually for a few seconds, shows the ship, and then goes and does these random positions here. So you see the asteroid obviously doesn't. It doesn't do anything on this. I'm just going to hide it, actually, hide the asteroid. Oh, the asteroid's still appearing. Right, but I've got my ship there. And I can start shooting it. And that's the end of that video.